Hello and welcome to another video. If my voice sounds a little different this time, I'm a little bit sick, so sorry about that. Today we're going to be going over patch 1.9 for the global version of Cat Fantasy. Uh, for the moment, the content is relatively light, but judging from news that we've seen in other regions as well as the combat gallery, looks like there are going to be additional combatants to follow, so it isn't going to be a light patch by any means. There will be quite a few characters that we'll have to go through. Um, but yeah, let's kind of go over it, right? So if we look in the gallery, right, there's going to be quite a few new combatants here. There are 5 new combatants to be exact. So 2 of those combatants are available right now. You can summon them as of today, the day that the patch released. You have Loco, Clips of Omen, and you have Fifi, Ballad of Isles. Both of these banners do last 5 weeks, so you do have a lot of time to get them. As you can see, they're both red single target DPSs, and we're going to be spending the most time going over their kits in this video, as you are currently able to pull them and play them. Right now, there are 3 additional combatants that I will quickly gloss over here, right, as we're getting into this. And those combatants are Triss Sideline Spotlight. So this is like a red buffer healer version of Triss. I might touch on her kit a little bit as well. Obviously, do keep in mind she's going to be a Battle Pass character, so it's not a unit you really have to roll for. You buy the Battle Pass, you get her. You can get her cores by using the Advanced Core Shop, or by pulling. You can pull her on Standard Banner even. But for whatever reason, even though we're on a new patch, the Battle Pass doesn't rotate until tomorrow. So as of today, Triss isn't going to be playable, which is funny. But anyways, then we have 2 other units. So we have Fawn, Drizzle of Splendor. She is a white Pathos buffer. Now, we have seen her kit confirmed in multiple places. As a matter of fact, if you go to the Luminox shop here, right, you'll see that she's in the Luminox shop. She is going to be a Luminox character, which is coming right after we just had one, but it is what it is. We can actually examine her here and see her kit. Now, I'm not going to go over her kit in depth. Basically, she's a white Pathos buffer. She has a lot of unique qualities. She increases counter damage, crit damage. She can extend buffs and debuffs. Um, and she has an ultimate that probably deals decent damage. But the reason I'm not going to go over her in this video is because her kit is very complex, and there are a lot of interactions with other characters that I need to personally test before I'm comfortable with being able to make a video that covers her. So while you can technically obtain her today, if you did get 1,000 Luminox before the patch, like from Minotaur's banner, I'm not going to go over her because I didn't do that. I can't get her, and I'd prefer to star her up anyways, right? So I can go over the star up effects and what breakpoints are good. But she is coming. I would assume sometime next week, maybe in 2 weeks, but my best guess, we're going to get Fawn next week. So 5-week patch, 4-week Luminox banner. As you can see, there's still quite a few reruns here that you'll have access to in the Luminox shop. If you kind of want a guideline of which one of those you can go for, you can look at my patch 1.8 overview video, and I kind of touch up on that a little bit. You can also go over my Should You Pull Half Anniversary video for general guidelines of what units you can go for when these reruns occur, right? And then for the last character that's in this patch, we have Tara Simon. So she is a red Pathos debuffer. Now, one thing to note is that she is Astra Particle, and she's a debuffer. And one thing to note is that every single member of the Curse team, Red Yunkin, Red Yunpei to an extent, Dorothy, Trixie, and Loco, you can see the stars on the bottom right of their portraits. They are all Astra Particle. This is because Yunkin is a passive that buffs the offense stats of Astra Particle, right? So naturally, any curse unit that they release has Astra Particle. So bit of a guess, but Terra Simon could potentially be a curse unit. So do keep that in mind as we discuss Loco, who, spoiler alert, is another curse unit today, right? You'll also notice Loco came out, and I haven't pulled her yet. And I'll kind of go over that as I go over her. So yeah, we have no idea what her kit does. They haven't revealed it anywhere. They haven't given us any way, either through the client or through other regions or anything, to indicate what she does. They even had patch notes for the C server because they're actually adding Terra Simon and where's the other one? Terra Simon and Fawn, like right after Dorothy on the C server, which is insane to me. But they're gonna get them. And they showed Fawn in the patch notes, showed her whole kit, and then they showed Terra Simon in the patch notes. They were like, nope, we're not showing you her kit yet. So we literally don't know what she does. I would assume she's gonna come like 3 weeks from now. 2 weeks. I think there's gonna be like a 4 week summer event next week. When Fawn releases, and then 2 weeks into that, I assume that Terra Simon will be pullable. But I can't say for sure. I'm just making educated guesses. Other than that, no real new outfits here. There's like a new Anya skin. I don't know how we're gonna get that. There's an Eartha skin for the new Battle Pass Triss, but other than that, yeah, nothing really crazy here. So let's kind of get into the meat and potatoes here. Let's kind of go over combatants. So the first combatant we are going to go over is I just have to find her in my ever-growing roster. Fifi, Ballad of Isles. Fifi is a red Pathos single target DPS. Um, she does not belong to the Curse Bundle. She, as a matter of fact, is a Sunder character, which is great because we have a Sunder character for red that's really good, right? Black Tea, but for whatever reason on global, she's true limited, right? Could be an issue with there being a disparity between the publisher and the developer companies, because technically Food Fantasy is an IP that's owned by Fundal, but and on other servers she'll come back around for half anniversary banners and stuff, but for global, I do believe she is true limited. If you did not get her back in the Food Fantasy event in 1.2, you can't ever get her again. And unlike Chicola, who's kind of mid, Black Tea is actually insanely strong. Uh, like single-handedly carried Red on its back for the longest time until Jinquei released. Just an absolutely absurd unit. But you can't get her anymore. And the other single target options that you have for Red, if you don't have access to Black Tea, kind of suck. But this potentially changes with Fifi. So, to break down her kit, passive. She gives all red Pathos allies crit damage. Great. Beautiful. We love free crit. Deals Sunder damage, and then inflicts a stack of debuff on the enemy that increases their Sunder damage taken by 5%, stacking up to 8 times. So this is great. She has a passive that gets crit damage. She has a skill that increases their Sunder damage taken. This actually means that Fifi, can either be your Sunder DPS, your main DPS for your red team, or if you have Black Tea, Fifi can complement Black Tea and be her, little assistant. It's pretty cool. And then we have this, deal damage, inflict claw marks on the target. Fifi deals increased damage and takes less damage from targets that have claw marks, but you can only plant claw marks on one target at a time. So makes her great in single target, 3 target. I mean, you're probably hitting the same thing anyways, but if you're trying to do like spread antics, you'll have a bit of damage fall off there. And then her ultimate deals Sunder damage. It's worth noting that I believe this motion value is less than Black T's. 188 versus. Oh no, it's actually higher. 183. Well, Black Tea has the warrant stacks that detonate though. But yeah, 188% sunder damage and steals 20% of the target's attack for 2 turns. This attack is capped at 35% of Fifi's base attack. So cool. Sunder card, Sunder ultimate, just like Black Tea. Star up effects. 1 star. Her ultimate steals attack before dealing the damage. So by default, you'll deal the damage, then steal the attack for 3 turns. Now that attack steal will factor into the damage of your ultimate. 4 stars. When you attack an enemy that has the claw marks debuff, you will get 40% additional crit damage. And then 6 stars. When her current HP is higher than 50%, she deals 20% more final damage, which is also just really good, right? Final damage is a very, very powerful it multiplier compared to other increases. So, Fifi, generally speaking, should you pull? I would say yes. Now, I'm going to put out a disclaimer here. I know that we just had Minotaura banner, we just had Crown banner. There's been a lot of good things. I pretty much said dump your funds. So if you don't have pulls and you can't get her, I mean, obviously, first of all, keep in mind she's going to be here for 5 weeks, right? So unless Tara Simon is Jinquei levels of stupidly broken, she'll probably still be just the most effective thing to pull this patch. And if you can build up like a pity over the course of the 5 weeks, then I would say, yeah, go for her. But, obviously, don't, don't spend, don't spend more than you're able. Don't put yourself into financial debt or jeopardy or anything stupid like that over a video game character, right? But if you have the pulls and you have the ability to get her, I would say yes. She's a very good pull. She is definitely the best single target option that Red has if you do not have Black Tea. Now, I did test them. It seems like Fifi and Black Tea will do similar damage before 4 stars, and then once you whale them, Black Tea will start to outsealing Fifi, but Fifi still does very respectable damage. So definitely a very valuable character to have, just does really good damage, has Sunder. Sunder's the best damage type in the game, has great synergy with units that Red already has, right? So, oops, I thought I clicked teams there. Alright, so what teams can we build with her? So there's pretty much 2 options here, right? You either have the Fifi team where she's your single, where you have Black Tea, or you don't have Black Tea. If you have Black Tea, it's generally going to look something like this. Fifi, Black Tea, they just have really good synergy together. Fifi's just insanely good for Black Tea in general, gives her crit damage, debuffs the enemy. All of her moves are single targets. If your Black Tea is 4 stars, she builds up warrant for Black Tea really, really well, right? And, just a very, very, very effective pairing. And then Felicia, obviously, very good in this team as well. She has an AoE. She can crit buff both of them at the same time because of her heal, right? And then kind of just have Arena as a generic good stuff option. I will say, after the Battle Pass comes out tomorrow, you can actually consider replacing this with Party Spirit Triss. If your Triss is at least 5 stars, and she gets that final damage bonus, you can definitely slot Party Triss here. It's a bit worse sustain, but likely better damage. Although, obviously there will be a bit of buff up time. Kato, active Kato, obviously just pick whatever. Passive Kato, I would definitely advise using the Meowbot Mark II if you have it, because you're running double DPS. So you do benefit off of the nature of how Meowbot works, which is the first ability each combatant uses gets a boost. Now, if you're just playing Fifi by herself, well, you have a few options here. You can kind of do like the Fifi Jinquei comp for 3 target, Or you could have Jinquei for a single target, if she's at least 1 star. Um, Honestly, like this isn't even bad. You could like put Minotaura in here. It's still 4 red. You're using Fifi to do the center damage up debuff for Minotaura, right? And she's kind of playing second fiddle to her, but I mean it's a decent team, right? Then other than that, I mean you could just play to like fully buff Fifi as well. You could run a Fata, you could run a cheerleader Triss, you could even run an SR Yunpei with full HP. You can run a Stacy in Clam Battle. There's a few options there. But yeah, Fifi's a very good unit. Probably the best thing you can pull this patch. She's quite good. Let's go over the other unit. Now, I don't have her yet, so we'll kind of just go here to go over her kit. So this is Loco, Eclipse of Omen. So Loco is, again, a single target DPS for Red Pathos. The difference here is that instead of being based on Sunder, which is historically a good damage type, she is instead associated with Curse, which is a less than reputable archetype in the game. So passively, she gains bonus and direct damage every time she loses HP. At the start of the round, if she has 3 or less curse stacks on her, she gains a curse stack for 2 turns. And then damage that she takes from curses will not reduce her HP below 1. Her skill card deals typeless damage and transfers all curses from her to the target. Her skill 2 will deal, again, typeless damage and will extend the durations of the curses that are on her. And then her ultimate is a single target version of Dorothy's ultimate, which deals typeless damage and detonates the curses on the enemy, instantly dealing 150% of their original damage and reducing all of their durations by 1 turn. Star up effects at 1 star. Every time an ally inflicts curse, she gains 1 stack of curse for 2 turns. This can happen up to once per turn. At 4 stars, when she curses an enemy and that curse deals damage, she gains attack for 2 turns. Attack bonus is 10%. Additionally, in the next turn, converts 45% of that damage dealt from the curse into a shield that lasts for 1 turn. That's capped at 50% of her max HP. At 6 stars, her ultimate, instead of detonating the curses for 150% of their damage, will detonate them for 180% of their damage, which again is a carbon copy of Dorothy's 6-star effect. So she's kind of like a Dorothy, but single target. She's kind of unique with her curse application, though. Her whole gimmick is generating curses through her passive, extending them, moving them onto the enemy, and then detonating them with her ult. Very, very basic character. Now, again, Loco. Should you pull? Most cases, I would say no. There's a couple of reasons for that. Reason 1, Loco is a curse unit and is therefore reliant on having other curse characters in your roster already. You ideally want to have You ideally want to have a Trixie. You ideally want to have a Dorothy, especially if you're doing like 3-target content. And then you ideally want a Yunkin, who is a standard banner character, but you do want Yunkin at 5 stars minimum, I would say. She is farmable through hard mode, challenge mode, story stages, but it's still a bit of a tall ask. So you have all these units that you need to invest into, right? Not just pull, but invest into. Dorothy, Trixie, Yunkin. These are all characters that really do nothing outside of this specific team. Whereas when you're building that Fifi team, right? When you're building that team, Felicia can be used in a lot of teams. Arena can be used in a lot of teams, right? There's a lot of universal appeal. And also, I mean, let's face it, Black Tea and Fifi, they're just going to have a higher ceiling than Loco and Single Target. The problem with Curse is that Curse can only be buffed by attack and increasing indirect damage bonus. Doesn't scale with debuffs or crit or final damage or pathos counter damage or anything. So it's really hard to exponentially increase the damage output of Curse compared to the damage output of, you know, uh, compared to the damage output of, Sunder. And then AoE, right? I mean, obviously, Jinquei just murders Curse in AoE because Jinquei is insane. Now, if you do decide to pull her, yeah, the team is pretty obvious, in my opinion. You're just going to put Loco with these three, right? Kato, unfortunately, there's not really a lot of Katos that have great synergy with Curse. I would probably just run Tarot Popping for the attack, honestly. Run these three, put Loco in there. You can also drop Dorothy for like additional sustain in the form of Rice or SR Yunpei if you really need additional survivability. You can also put Felicia in there because she does heal. But again, the crit buffs she provides don't work on your curses, so it's kind of a weird use for her. But Red's kind of Red is kind of limited in regards to what sustains they can run, and you really don't want to run LDs in a curse team because both Dorothy and Trixie have passives that buff indirect damage bonus, but they rely on having 4 red Pathos units on your team. So there's that. Party Triss is in the battle pass, but I don't really see too much of a point of going over her. I could go over her once she's released, once I go over Fawn, whenever that is, maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks, who knows, whenever they decide to put her out, right? And then only just one more thing here. We have a new event, Shades of Sorrow. There is there is a 50 floor tower that you have to tackle. The power requirements do get pretty high, so you want to make sure that you equip these items that you get from doing the story to increase your combat power so you don't get CP checked. Regardless, it is still going to be an event that's definitely scaled towards more vetted players in the higher floors, so don't feel too bad if you're unable to clear all 50 floors. You get a few red orbs, a few recombs, a few raid tickets, and then a lot of Loco orbs. You get like 4K Loco orbs, so go nuts. There's a boss, but it doesn't really matter because the rewards aren't that great and there's no phases, so I mean, unfortunately there is not really a lot going on there. There is clan campaign. Nightmare's Call doesn't reset until tomorrow, and other than that, there's not really that much going on. I would assume that we're gonna get a summer event as well, in a week or 2 weeks to coincide with Fawn and Tara Simon. If that does happen, then of course I'll cover it in another video. But for now, we just kind of have those two combatants at the moment. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like and leave a comment so I know to keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you guys next time.